in the consciousness, in this piece of paper. And once you do that, it then reflects back to the subconscious as a template. And you're saying to the subconscious, you go out and find me the person who fits these different pictures.
So you're getting clear on what you really want, which is a
Right.
problem I think we have. We want something, but we're not clear on it, so you get very
Right.
clear. But then besides getting clear and writing this all out, do you look at it every day and read it, and do you put emotion behind it? I mean, how does it work?
Well, I encourage people to take several days to do it. And first of all, only do it for 4 or 5 minutes at a time. This is supposed to be fun.
Because
This
I know a
is-
few women that want some really nice men, so I'm going to pass this on.
Okay. Well,
We'll sign up.
right. Oh, you've already.
Well, we
you- you-
already
you-
have them,
you're
but
taken.
We have them, but we
Mike-
could pass this
Yeah,
information
we
on.
can pass it on.
Well, what was the question?
The question was, once you, okay, you get clear, you write the things you want on the cluster, and then do you put emotion behind it? Do you read it every day? Do you do a visual,
I have
do you
them,
visualize
I
it?
encourage them to keep it out for several days. What I typically do with my coaching clients, this is just step one. And from that, we evolve into a Huna visualization, which is a very specific, different kind of visualization. And so we take the grape cluster that might have 15, 20, 30 different pictures.
Does it matter how many?
No, no. But from that, I say, take the juiciest grape. What's the one that has that kind of oomph to it? And usually it's not the most important one. You know, you might have something on there about paying off your mortgage. And I know on one of mine I had pay off my mortgage. Another picture was I'm sitting by a pool in Palm Springs. Well, that was the juicy grape. You know,
Palm
paying off
Springs.
my mortgage
That's
doesn't
what
mean
the
anything.
child wants.
Yes.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
wants to be sitting by a pool.
Yeah.
And so that, I take that one grape and make a visualization out of it. Because I don't want to have to remember all 30 different pictures. It's me by the pool in Palm Springs. And then I do this visualization, which is another topic that we could talk about sometime. So I only have to remember the one grape. And that's the point of the cluster. If I get this one grape, they're all attached. So I'm going to get all those things. It's very sneaky.
Now,
In some ways, then we could say, Pauline, that
Yeah.
it's holographic. It's a part of the whole.
Yes,
right.
you
That's
get one
another
part,
that's another
yeah.
story, another topic, but that's very interesting.
But
Holographic,
it's,
yeah.
you could call it
Yeah.
Yeah.
holographic.
Right.
Or a cell in the body, it's part of the whole. But it just sounds, and I believe in a lot of things, it just sounds so fantastic to me. This woman found this man in 2 weeks.
And I hear that. I've had dozens, probably hundreds of emails now from people, especially on relationship. It works very well on career, getting clarity on what you want in a career, but it works best on relationship.
On relationships.
And I have dozens and dozens of emails saying, you'll never guess what, that I met so-and-so. It's often 10 to 14 days later. There's a kind of an immediacy. I think because we're really eager for that relationship, we want it.
There's a lot of emotion behind
Yes,
it.
a lot of emotion, and you finally define, well, as I said to a client a couple of weeks ago, I was doing a reading for her, and I said, I have some bad news for you. I said, I think you're about to have a relationship. And she said, oh, but that's wonderful news. And I said, well, not with your pattern, it isn't. Do you want the fourth abuser, the fourth alcoholic abuser?
Oh.
And I think people do this all the time. I want a new relationship without defining it.
Exactly.
And keeping the same patterns going
Right,
over and
and
over.
so you're going to have the
creating
next
the same reality over
yes,
and over.
create the next bad relationship.
Are we going to keep talking about this cluster? I want you to, but I have to say
It's your
something
show.
before. Yeah,
It's
my
your show.
It's
I've
your
got
show.
I've got to thank our sponsors
Okay.
again, and so I got to just take a minute to thank Rio Ribs, who's on in Aloha on TV Highway for the generous donation of food for our crew. We really appreciate it.
And they were delicious.
And they were delicious. We all enjoyed
We
them.
all enjoyed them.
Yeah, and they have a website that's probably being shown now. And if you want to learn more about them, just go to www.rioribsbarbecue.com. Thank you, Rio Ribs. Thanks a lot. So the grape cluster, we're still talking about that. I love it. I want to use it for something else. I don't need to use it for a man unless I want to be a bigamist. But there must be something else.
It would work.
Yeah, I could use it for something. We could use it for visualizing our program, couldn't we?
Yes. What do you want this to look like? What do you want your career to look like? What do you want your health to look like? I've worked with several people who had ill health. And it's hard for them to imagine, well, what would it be like if I weren't sick, if I weren't depleted? What are those pictures of you in good health? So you can use it for anything.
Now, when you say that about health, and I do believe a lot in the body can heal itself, but what if somebody is actually going to a doctor and they're getting treatments? Do you advise them to keep going to their physician.
Oh,
and
certainly.
Of course, yeah. But sometimes have you seen some incredible remissions or incredible cures by doing this cluster?
Along with the medical work too.
Yes.
It's simply a way to decide or to define for yourself, what do you want health, what is good health to you? Because everybody's definition of health is, well, I had one client who said, I said, well, what would it look like? And she said, I would be skiing down Mount Hood. I love to ski and I haven't skied in 20 years.
There you go.
And I
That
said,
we
well,
could have.
that's your vision. That's not, I'm not a skier. I'm not going to get cold.
Yeah.
That's not my definition of good health, but it was for her.
Yeah, I guess we do all have different
Well,
definitions.
I really believe, Dawn, that all of us have the answers inside, and that each individual is going to know what's going to make them happy, or what that picture is that's going to represent them being healthy. I mean, I'm jumping on a trampoline.
Yeah. No, I'm skiing downhill with that lady. But you
I'm
know,
playing tennis.
yeah, yeah. But I think we don't take the time to take the responsibility and get clear. We just complain all the time. I'm not making a generalization now. Not everybody does, but we complain about our life is the same old, our health is bad, our jobs are awful, and you've got some great tools.
Well, and that's why I work with my coaching clients, because I really don't want to hear the bitching and complaining
No.
about their. I'm thinking of two people I had probably a month ago, back-to-back clients, and this is a good illustration of this, that they both wanted a new career. They didn't like what they had, but they didn't know what they wanted.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, let's do a grape cluster. And they both said, well, how can I do a cluster when I don't know what I want? And I said, well, if you knew what you wanted, we wouldn't be talking.
Exactly. Exactly.
If you knew you wanted to be an accountant, there's no need for a cluster. And so with the first client was a man, and I said, well, give me one picture. If you had the perfect job, what would it look like? And he said, oh, I see me getting off a plane in Thailand carrying a briefcase. I said, great,
Oh.
vivid,
Wow.
write that down. We don't know what the job is, but write that down. The next hour was a woman, and I asked the same question, and she said, oh, I see me working at home on a computer when the kids come home from school. It's great, write that down. And I thought, well, this is a great illustration that neither of these clients knows what they want, but I know they're going to be very different careers, exotic world travel and working out of your home. And I remember that the man, we met on a Friday, and he came up with, oh, here's another good illustration too. He said, oh, there's another picture, but I can't use that. I said, oh, really, why not? Well, it contradicts the first one. I said, oh, don't judge. What's the picture? And he said, well, I see me setting up an elegant office in a high-rise building in downtown Portland. I said, great, put that down. And I don't remember the rest of them. One of them was making $200,000 a year. Great, put that down.
Put that in my grape,
Yeah,
please.
and I get 7%.
Squeeze it in,
Squeeze it right out. That's going to be my juicy grape right there.
Well, that was on a Friday, and on a Sunday night he called me at home. And he said, I really hate to bother you at home, but I've got a real problem. He said, I had a call from somebody I met 2 years ago at a conference in Chicago, and he's offered me this job to set up a branch office in downtown Portland, my choosing of where. I travel to the Orient twice a week. I'd make $250,000.
Do you believe Dawn? I don't, this is just a little too far-fetched for
No,
me.
I do believe that.
Do believe Dawn.
Well,
Because-
he didn't take it, oddly enough. He said it was too soon, that he was too discombobulated
That's
to
sad,
take it.
though.
Yeah,
that
but
someone
that
couldn't
is
trust.
amazing.
And I happen to know this guy, and he's about to lose his job, so
Oh
I
my
think he
God.
wishes he
Were
had.
you just shocked at this? I mean,
Yeah.
I believe you. I'm just joking, you know.
Well, I'm always shocked in a sense at things like that when psychic readings come true or grape clusters produce, yeah.
Do you think his inner child had the fear going, and so that's why he maybe didn't take that?
Well, yeah, I mean, what would you do if somebody called you tonight and said, I have a job for you, and you have to decide tomorrow?
That would be difficult, but it
gulp.
just
Well,
depends. It
I
really depends.
I have an opinion.
Yeah,
I think that you go to your gut feelings.
yeah.
And if the kid inside of you is jumping up and down, go for it.
And then work out the details
Because
later.
life
I
is an
agree.
adventure.
I
It
agree.
is an adventure. To play it
Well-
safe doesn't always work.
And to finish that story, the woman, she created a business out of her home selling children's clothing and mail order business.
I love your stories.
And so they start with this one picture, and they start by saying, I don't know what I want as a career. And then they develop the picture, and then the reality follows.
Don, I know you have another tool. We done with
Mm-hmm.
grapes? You know what I mean. Because
can stomp